Hi there and welcome to another PSD Toots spoon-fed Photoshop tutorial. I'm Gavin Steele and I'm going to be taking you through Arik's glossy download icon. You can check out other video tutorials over at our channel on Vimeo, and you can check out more of Arik's tutorials at psdtoots.com. Okay, so we're going to try and create something that looks like this icon on the left, and again you can follow all of the steps over at the website psdtoots.com. You can also download the working file at the PSD Toots Plus section. You just have to join up and become a member. Okay, so the first thing to do is load up Photoshop. I'm going to create a new canvas of 500 pixels by 500 pixels and click on OK. I'm going to open up that background layer and I'm going to fill it with a dark brown color or dark black grey color, and that's going to be 303030, and click on OK. Head over to your bucket and we're just going to paint that in. Now we're going to start to create the rings needed for this particular icon. So create a new layer, we're going to call it ring 1. And I'm going to head over to my ellipse tool down here and I'm going to draw out my circle. Make sure you've got it set to shape layers, holding down shift when you get somewhere in the middle. So mine's going to be on 250 pixels by 250 pixels, which is about, that looks good about there. Hold down shift, click, and then hold down option or alt and drag out to create your circle. Okay, I'm going to change that color. We're going to come inside and I'm just going to change that to BC, BC, BC. Nice light grey color. And click on OK. Okay, that hasn't changed that, so I'm just going to go back a couple of steps and make sure I've got that set down here first before I draw it out. So again, nice and simple, it's just going to be BC, BC, BC. Click on OK. And I'm going to draw out that shape one more time. So when you're set on 250 and 250, just draw it out. There we go. Oh, I see what's happened. I've got some of my layer styles are being applied to it. So I'm just going to turn off those layer styles like so. There we go. Right, so we're going to duplicate ring 1, drag it down to a new layer, and we're going to call it, surprisingly enough, ring 2. I'm going to free transform that, and I'm just going to drag it in a couple of pixels, release it, and hit enter. Okay, so with ring 2 still selected, command and click on it there, head over to select, modify, we're going to expand it by 3 pixels. Click on OK, then head over to select, inverse, we're going to click on our ring layer, and we're going to quick mask. And there you go, we've created our rings. We've got ring 1 and ring 2. We're going to apply some styles now to these layers. I've already got mine predefined down at the bottom, but I'm going to take you through them anyway. So if I just click on my ring 1 style down here, you can see it applies that. Double click on that, I can just take you through it. There's an inner glow on there which is set to multiply 75% and the color's black. And I've got my gradient overlay which is set to soft light at 100%. I'm going to click on OK. Head over to ring 2, and with ring 2 I'm going to apply my ring 2 style. Double click on that. We're going to have a drop shadow. We're going to set that to -90. Okay, pixels are going to be on 5. Distance 5, size 5, outer glow set to a blending mode of normal with the opacity set to 100 and black, inner glow again on black, multiply and 75%, and the gradient overlay is set to soft light, it just goes from black to white, and the opacity is set to 100%. And then just going to click on OK. We're then going to create a new layer above all of these, and we're going to apply a gradient going along the top of this particular disc. So just going to select ring 2, command and click, and on that layer I'm going to come over to my gradient tool and I'm going to apply this gradient here. Okay, I'm just going to show you on the tutorial what those colors are set to. You can see them there. So the first one is set to DF, 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 and so on using these colors. Click on OK, and hold down shift so I get a straight line, and just drag up, and that looks good. Now what we need to do to that particular layer is set it to hard light. So head over to your blending mode and just click on hard light. Then deselect. Okay, so we've got our first 2 rings. The next step is to create Yep, another ring. So we're going to call that ring 3. And just like I did previously, I'm going to make sure I come to the middle, 250 on 250. Okay, that's about right. I'm going to shift click and hold down Alt, and I'm going to drag out my third circle and try and get it similar width that you had previously. Right, now we're going to apply the same styles to that ring as we did to ring 2, but I've saved it over here as ring 3, and I'll just take you through them just to make sure. So the drop shadows on minus 90 degrees, multiply and 75% black. It's got an outer glow set to normal with 100% opacity, black again, and the technique is softer. I've changed the size of the pixels there to 16. It's got an inner glow with 75% opacity set to multiply, and the element size is set to 1 pixel. And finally, the gradient overlay is soft light, 100%, going from black to white, linear. Click on OK. So we're now going to duplicate this ring 3 layer, and we're going to call it our fill layer. We're going to change that color. So let's call that fill, and double click on the color there, and we're going to set that to blue. And obviously if you're going for a green icon, you choose a green color that you liked or a red color. So that blue I'm going to choose is 446 FCE, and click on OK. Now once again, I have down here a number of my styles already predefined, so I'm going to click on my fill one, and you can see how that takes effect. And I'll just double click and take you through those. So I've got an inner shadow set to normal and black at 75%. Just going to double check that's black. It is 00000. It's got an inner glow set to normal, opacity 43, black again. It's got gradient overlay is set to 53 and multiply, and the stroke is set to 2 pixels. Okay, so click on OK there, and I'm going to duplicate my fill layer. Just going to drag that down to a new layer, and I'm going to rename this one Highlight Ring. Click on OK, and then I'm going to apply my layer style for my highlight ring. I've got that down here, and again you can see that takes shape down at the bottom, and I'll just take you through those layer styles. I've got a drop shadow set to multiply, 75%, and the color is set not to black, it's set to a slightly lighter color, 231 F20. And we've got a bevel which is set to 1000 pixels in depth. It's an inner bevel, smooth technique, minus 90 degrees, and the altitude is set to 30. And again, this color down here in the shadow mode is multiply. We just cancel that. Oh. And the color is set to 231 F20. Click on OK, and then click on OK. Right, we're going to create a new layer above all of these layers now, and we're going to call this new layer our highlight brush. Okay, and then what we're going to do with our highlight brush is we're going to apply a soft light blending mode, and we're going to come over to my big brush tool, change it so it's white. Again, we want no hardness on our brush, and I'm going to select our outline by holding down Command and clicking on my circle mask there, and then I'm just going to slowly just lighten up the edges and the middle, like so, of our icon. Okay, I'm happy with that, so we're going to move on. I'm next going to create my custom shape, so click on a new layer and head over to Shape Tool and Custom Shape Tool. And there are a number that you can choose on from here. You can download them. Once you've downloaded them, you can head over to Edit and Preset Manager, and you can find them over in your custom shapes. Okay, but just for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to choose the speech mark, and I'm going to draw that out in the middle of this layer, again on 250 and 250. Like so. I'm not happy with that. Okay, one quick thing. make sure you've got it set to this third one from the right, filled pixels, make sure it's on white, and I'm just going to draw that out one more time. Okay, make sure it's set to 250 and 250 again. And holding down Alt or the Option key, I'm just going to make sure that's central and draw it out like so. Brilliant. And then once again I'm going to apply some layer styles to that layer. And again, I've got mine done down at the bottom, and it's called Shape. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to double click on it. Now this is where this tutorial is slightly different to the one on the website. I've tried to mix this old school HTML style with Web 2.0 kind of style. So again, this is where you play around with the options for the image that you're putting inside the icon. I've given mine a drop shadow of multiply black, 75% opacity. The distance is 1 pixel, the size is 5. I've given it an inner glow screen, 75% white, again with the element size set to 5 pixels. I've given it a blue color satin or a slightly purple color, BO-B8-D9, and I've given it a color overlay, white normal set to 100%. A gradient overlay, normal set to 19%, linear, and a stroke of 10 pixels inside soft light. The opacity is set to 39. The fill type is gradient, 90%, and click on OK. And that's given me this thick band around my shape, which I'm happy with. Again, you can play around with those different styles to get the effect that you want with whatever image, whatever icon you're putting inside these rings. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to create a new layer, and we're going to start to draw out the glossy top part. So you're going to need to use the pen tool for this, and I'm just going to set it to paths for now, and I'm going to give myself a little bit more room to work with. Maybe just zoom out a little bit there. Okay, I'm going to click up at the top here, and down here. And I'm just clicking and dragging till you get a shape that you're happy with, and you can close that off. Now that's actually a little bit, it peaks too much in the middle, so I'm just going to try that again. Once you've got a shape that you're happy with, control click, turn it into make a selection, and then I'm going to fill that with white. Okay, I'm then going to quickly apply a mask, so command click on one of your circle layers, quick mask. We're going to call this, I'm going to call it glass, and I'm going to reduce its opacity right down to about 30%. Okay, and then I'm going to apply some more layer styles to it. And again, I've got mine set down at the bottom down here. So I'm just going to apply one of these layer styles. And I'm going to double click and open that up so you can take a closer look. And that's got a drop shadow set to multiply black, 86%, distance of 1 pixel, size 5 pixels, inner glow I've set to screen, 75% white, and the color overlay I've set to 6FBEE9 and 100%. And again, you can play around with different opacities until you get something that you're happy with. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. Again, you can go into your mask and you can start to darken some of these areas up at the top if you want. Start to play around with it so it looks even more glass-like. But I'm happy with that. I'm just going to reduce it down so we can take a look at it about 50%. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So obviously you've got lots of layer styles to play around with there to try and get an icon that you're happy with. I've tried to mix this new Web 2.0 style with the older style of circle icons and stuff like that. But you can check out more of the tutorials over at psdtoots.com. So I've been Gavin Steele, taking you through Arik's cool tutorial on creating this icon over here. You can check out all of these tutorials at psdtoots.com, and don't forget to check out our video channel over at Vimeo. Thanks very much.